Hi, welcome to our brand new Backhaul launch. Our first guest this week is Ulik, our VP Product. Hi Ulik, thanks for joining.
Hi, good morning, Dodi.
Hi, so Ulik, I wanted to talk to you today about 5G. It's a big buzz, there's a lot of talks out there, and what I wanted to understand from you is what capacity do you really need in 5G wireless backhaul? What are the use cases and how are we going to achieve it?
Well, 5G represents a whole new opportunity and ball game, many new use cases, many new applications. And we see a large variety of capacities and bandwidth that is needed in each application. For example, we see a large demand for front haul applications connecting distributed RAN parts, and for that...
So basically connected the baseband unit to the remote radio head. That's a lot of capacity there, right?
Yeah, and here we see 10 and sometimes even 20 gigabit per second are being discussed. So this is one example. Connecting to a POP, to fiber POPs, fiber point of presence, also multiple gigabit per second, up to 10 gigabit per second in microwave, millimeter wave bands. We see even the plain old macro cell connectivity going up above 1 gigabit per second. So we see the capacity requirements are going up and multiple applications are relevant.
That's very interesting. Ulik, you mentioned that for front haul, you might need 10 or even 20 gigabits per second. How are you going to achieve it, or can we achieve it today?
So when we go to millimeter wave, E-band, and maybe even higher bands, then 10 gigabit per second is becoming very, very relevant. Ceragon, as well as other companies, are going to the market with 10 gigabit per second equipment. In E-band, it requires wider channels of 200 megahertz, but then 10 gigabit per second is becoming more and more of a valid solution in the market.
And what about higher capacities, for instance, 20 gigabit per second?
So for 20 gigabit per second, you just take the E-band that we have been discussing, use XPeak, and then 2 carriers of 10 and combine them together to 20 gigabit per second. So this is a valid product even today. When you go beyond that, you go to wider channels, higher capacities, and you can reach up to even 100 gigabit per second.
That's interesting, but I have two questions. One, in 20 gigabit per second, can you achieve it on a single cable connectivity, meaning a single 40 gigabit Ethernet or 100 gigabit Ethernet, or you need to run multiple 10 gig cables and distribute the traffic amongst them?
So we believe in Ceragon that the less cables you have, the easier, the faster, the lower cost installation you get. So we developed a solution called the link aggregation, where you can take 2 units of the E-band product, our IP50E, and combine them over one cable, and then you get the 20 gigabit per second over one cable going down to the shelter.
Wow, that's great. And this is available today, or it's a future plan?
This is something that we have been showing and demoing in the last few weeks in multiple sites all over Europe and North America.
Okay, and before we finish, you mentioned 100 gigabit per second over the air. This sounds fantastic. How are you going to achieve it? Because as far as I know, E-band is limited in the channel width to 2 gigahertz. So are you going to use higher bands or massive MIMO configurations or what?
So we in Ceragon developed new RFICs for higher bands than the E-band. We see these bands getting opened in various places in the world, and they're becoming more and more relevant. So we will use higher band for that, not the E-band.
Okay, can't wait to see it. Thank you very much, Ulik, for joining us today. Thank you for watching. We'll be back in the Backhaul launch with additional interesting guests. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.